Accord Intelligence Service. Report WA126-48-016. The Antebarian threat. Homeworld, Antebar. Climate, geography, gravity, and biosphere. Antebar is a cool, semi-arid, high-gravity world. Its surface gravity is approximately 1.68 times standard gravity. This helps explain the Antebarians' small stature, compact torsos, powerful thighs, strong forearms, and low centers of gravity. Their bodies are not delicate. They evolved to remain stable and efficient under conditions that make larger body plans metabolically expensive. Antebar has a slightly denser atmosphere than Earth, at approximately 1.1 standard atmospheres, with strong prevailing winds and substantial temperature variation between day and night. Antebar's principal geographic characteristics include broad basalt uplands, cold salt basins, deep canyon systems, extensive underground aquifers, narrow, fertile river valleys, permanent polar ice, several relatively small inland seas, wind-carved rocky plains. Antebar is not a desert planet, but most of its habitable land is dry. Rainfall is seasonal and concentrated in particular valleys and coastal regions. Days can be warm, but nights become cold quickly. Antebarian fur provides insulation, while their large, highly vascular ears help release body heat during periods of exertion or high daytime temperatures. The planet's natural vegetation is generally low and resilient. Native plants include dense ground mats, fibrous shrubs, deep-rooted stalks, and spreading underground root networks capable of surviving long dry periods. Large surface animals are uncommon. Much of Antebar's animal life is small, quick, and adapted to rocky terrain, narrow crevices, or underground shelter. Antebarian sensory awareness, rapid acceleration, expressive ears, and climbing ability all developed in this environment. Accordingly, major cities are generally built around protected water sources, beneath rocky plateaus, and in densely layered structures rather than sprawling surface settlements, and inside partially subterranean arcologies, and into canyon walls. Antebarians do not describe these settlements as burrows. To them, subterranean construction is simply sensible urban design. Antebar's star system and distance from the Accord. Antebar orbits Heidland, a stable orange K-type star. It is the second major planet in the Heidland system and has 2 small moons. One moon supports communications, defense, and shipyard installations. The other is mined primarily for industrial material. The Heidland system is located approximately 12 light-years beyond the formally recognized Accord frontier boundary, nearly 30 light-years from the nearest major Accord naval base, considerably closer to several isolated Accord mining, survey, and agricultural systems than to the Accord core worlds. Antebar is therefore not extremely remote by interstellar standards, but it lies outside the area routinely patrolled or administered by the Accord. Until recently, most Antebarian ships lacked the range, reliability, or logistical support required for sustained operations near Accord frontier settlements. Newer drives, salvaged components, and illicitly purchased navigation systems have begun to change that. The Screaming Talon of Final Agony was one of the first confirmed Antebarian vessels capable of conducting a long-range raid and returning to Antebar without an established support base. The Antebarian species. Antebarians are fully sapient, upright humanoids native to Antebar. They possess restrained rabbit-like biological traits, including short body fur, long mobile ears, compact muzzles, digitigrade legs, and small tails. They are not modified rabbits, animals standing upright, mascots, or childlike beings. Their bodies have mature humanoid torsos, shoulders, arms, hands, facial musculature, and adult proportions. A typical adult stands only 60 to 71 centimeters tall, excluding the additional apparent height created by the ears. Even the largest Antebarian generally reaches no higher than the thigh of an average human. Despite their size, Antebarians are dense, physically capable adults with powerful thighs and well-developed shoulders and forearms. Physical characteristics. 2 humanoid arms and human-like hands, each with 4 fingers and an opposable thumb. Forward-facing, intelligent eyes, a short, restrained muzzle. An omnivorous dentition, including short, canine-like fangs. Long ears that independently express attention, aggression, anxiety, exhaustion, and embarrassment. Digitigrade legs with compact, non-rabbit-like humanoid feet. A small tail that does not dominate the silhouette. Their small bodies are exceptionally well suited to cramped spacecraft. They move quickly, accelerate sharply, climb well, and can use rails, furniture, and machinery as elevated pathways. Their low center of gravity makes them difficult to knock over when braced. Trained Antebarians can exploit maintenance tunnels, boarding tubes, and angles of attack that larger humanoids do not normally defend. Their voices are naturally high-pitched compared with human voices. This does not indicate youth. An experienced commander can sound unexpectedly squeaky while displaying the authority, aggression, and vocabulary of a hardened officer. Antebarians are expressive and often theatrical, using their ears, hands, brows, posture, and pointed fingers to reinforce declarations. They may appear small, soft-furred, and potentially harmless, but Antebarians are a mature spacefaring species that is technically competent, emotionally complex, and genuinely dangerous. Government. Antebar is governed by the Compact of Antebar, a confederation of territorial cantons, major settlements, industrial associations, and orbital charters. The Compact is not a unified planetary state in the same sense as the Accord. Its central government has authority over currency regulation, disputes between cantons, interstellar navigation, major trade agreements, unofficial foreign contact, orbital infrastructure, planetary defense. Individual cantons retain control over commercial charters, education, internal security, local law enforcement, the local militia forces, resource licensing, taxation. The central legislature is the Compact Assembly. Its presiding official is the first convener, who is chosen through negotiation among the largest political blocs rather than by direct planetary election. This structure makes Antebar politically durable but slow to act. The Compact can enact laws, but local governments do not always enforce them consistently. Political factions. 4 major political tendencies dominate Antebarian politics. The Commercial Reform Bloc. The Commercial Reform Bloc seeks regulated trade with the Accord, modernization of Antebar's industry, and formal diplomatic recognition. Its members argue that piracy prevents Antebar from gaining access to legitimate markets, advanced medical technology, and industrial investment. The Sovereignty League. The Sovereignty League distrusts the Accord and believes formal relations would eventually lead to economic dependence, cultural interference, and Accord regulatory control. It does not necessarily support piracy, but it opposes allowing Accord authorities any role in Antebarian affairs. The Talon Coalition. The Talon Coalition consists of militant nationalists, private shipping interests, frontier captains, and several resource-poor cantons. It argues that Antebar has been excluded from the wealth of the surrounding interstellar powers and has the right to take what stronger powers refuse to trade on acceptable terms. The Talon Coalition is the political movement most closely associated with privateers and raiding captains. The Civic Stability Front. The Civic Stability Front is primarily concerned with preventing economic collapse, food shortages, unrest, and conflict between the cantons. It condemns uncontrolled piracy, but frequently tolerates questionable commercial arrangements when they bring necessary resources into Antebarian settlements. Military organization. Antebar possesses 3 principal armed organizations: the Antebar Home Defense Fleet. The Home Defense Fleet protects Antebar, its moons, orbital habitats, and the inner system. Its known order of battle includes approximately 160 commissioned, combat-capable vessels, a comparatively small force of corvettes and frigates, numerous customs cutters and armed patrol craft, several fixed orbital defense platforms, heavily armed monitors that cannot travel far from the Heidland system. Most of these vessels are designed for local defense rather than long-range operations. The System Guard. The System Guard performs customs enforcement, rescue operations, anti-smuggling patrols, and internal security. It is more professional and centrally controlled than most planetary law enforcement organizations, but its resources are limited. Canton and contract forces. Individual cantons, industrial combines, and shipping associations maintain their own armed vessels. Some are legitimate security forces. Others are functionally private navies. A few operate so far beyond central supervision that the distinction among security contractor, privateer, and pirate becomes largely political. Population and settlements. Antebar has a population of approximately 4.6 billion. Because Antebarians are small and build vertically and underground, their cities can support very high population densities. This density does not make the planet comfortable. Water, productive land, energy, and industrial materials remain under pressure. Approximately 3/4 of the population lives in major arcologies, canyon cities, or industrial settlement networks. Important settlements include Varin. Varin is the planetary capital and seat of the Compact Assembly. It occupies a vast canyon complex, with government chambers, residential tiers, transportation tunnels, and protected reservoirs built into both canyon walls. Doruk Deep. Doruk Deep is Antebar's largest heavy industrial center. It contains foundries, reactor component factories, ship construction chambers, and extensive underground rail networks. Selka Vale. Selka Vale is the largest agricultural region. Its protected river basin supports intensive farming, water recycling, food processing, and biological research. Orison Anchorage. Orison Anchorage is Antebar's primary orbital shipyard and interstellar port. Many legitimate merchant ships are based there. It is also the source of a considerable amount of machinery that later appears aboard vessels whose ownership records have become mysteriously incomplete. Economy and resources. Antebar is an industrialized world, but its economy is resource-constrained. Its strengths include ceramics and composite materials, a compact machinery, environmental recycling, a life support systems, navigation electronics, precision engineering, repair and salvage operations, a small spacecraft, small space construction, tunnel excavation. Its principal weaknesses are shortages of bulk industrial feedstock, certain superconductive materials, easily accessible heavy metals, fuel processing components, high-purity orbital manufacturing compounds, so reactor catalysts, refined nickel and cobalt. Antebar possesses mineral resources, but many of its easiest deposits were exhausted during its early industrial development. High gravity, difficult terrain, and political disputes make new mining expensive. This is why processed accord ore is so valuable to Antebar. Antebarians who raid accord space are not merely stealing rocks. They are stealing material that has already been mined, refined, concentrated, and prepared for industrial use. A cargo of processed nickel could be sold to shipyards, weapons manufacturers, construction combines, or canton governments without requiring years of mining infrastructure. Prosperity, population pressure, and internal stability. Antebar is not a destitute or collapsing world. It is technologically capable, urbanized, and highly educated. Its engineers, navigators, and industrial workers are respected even by species that dislike Antebarian politics. However, Antebar is also densely populated inhabitable regions, economically stagnant, increasingly dependent on imported industrial materials, politically fragmented, resource-constrained, marked by significant inequality, unable to provide equal opportunity across all cantons. The wealthiest arcologies are prosperous. Their residents enjoy reliable utilities, advanced medicine, education, and interstellar trade. The poorest cantons face rationing, aging infrastructure, unemployment, and limited access to imported technology. These conditions create a steady pool of armed merchants, political militants, privateers, salvage crews, smugglers, young Antebarians seeking wealth and status beyond Antebar. Raiding is therefore partly economic, but it is also driven by social mobility. A successful pirate captain can acquire wealth, political influence, and personal prestige that would be extremely difficult to gain through legitimate employment. History of contact with the Accord. Antebarian contact with the Accord began roughly 70 years ago. First contact was made by independent traders rather than an Accord exploration vessel. Early trade involved Antebarian environmental systems, medical compounds, and navigation components, precision instruments, processed metals, and salvaged machinery. The Accord later dispatched a formal diplomatic and survey delegation. Initial relations were cautious but not hostile. The two sides negotiated limited commercial access and exchanges of navigational information. Relations deteriorated over several recurring disputes. 1. Accord authorities accused Antebar of allowing stolen Accord goods to enter legitimate markets. 2. Antebarian cantons resisted external inspections. 3. Antebarian officials accused the Accord of treating them as a minor species rather than an equal government. 4. Some Antebarian courts recognized salvage claims that the Accord considered theft. 5. The Accord demanded transparent ship registration. 6. The Accord sought the extradition of suspected pirates. Formal negotiations eventually stalled. Trade continued through intermediaries, neutral ports, and independent merchants, but political relations never fully normalized. Diplomatic relations with the Accord. Antebar does not have full formal diplomatic relations with the Accord. The two governments maintain a limited contact and navigation protocol. This protocol allows emergency communications, recognition of distress signals, notification of major ship movements, and limited commercial transactions through approved intermediaries. The Accord officially classifies Antebar as an independent non-member civilization with limited diplomatic contact. Antebar does not consider itself subordinate to Accord law. The Accord does not accept Antebarian legal claims over activity within Accord territory. Status of piracy on Antebar. Piracy is officially illegal. The compact government publicly condemns attacks on civilian shipping and denies authorizing raids against the Accord. Available intelligence indicates a more complicated reality. Although the central government condemns piracy, some commercial interests quietly finance it, and some officials occasionally employ it as an unofficial instrument of foreign policy. Several cantons issue documents called recovery warrants. These authorize captains to seize supposedly abandoned, unlawfully held, or unfairly acquired resources beyond Antebarian space. The accord recognizes no legal distinction between a recovery warrant captain and a pirate. Some canton governments purchase captured cargo through intermediaries, while publicly denying knowledge of its origin. Corrupt officials may provide raiders with fuel, intelligence, repairs, or falsified registration. Most Antebarians are not pirates and do not approve of attacks on civilians. Many regard raiders as criminals who make legitimate trade more difficult, while others see them as defiant national heroes who force richer powers to respect Antebar. The Antebarian war fleets. Antebarian war fleets do exist, but the phrase is misleading. Antebar possesses several organizations formally designated as fleets. Most are defensive formations assigned to specific regions of the Heidland system. Their combined strength is substantial enough to defend Antebar from pirates, limited invasions, or coercion by a neighboring minor power. They are not presently capable of defeating the full Accord navy. Only a small portion of Antebar's military ships possess the range to reach the Accord frontier without tanker support or prepared bases. Fewer than a dozen military-grade Antebarian vessels can currently sustain true long-range expeditionary operations. A concentrated Antebarian force could overwhelm an isolated mining or trade station, capture a lightly defended frontier outpost, or disrupt a remote sector for a limited period. It could not invade the Accord core worlds or defeat a major Accord battle group. The primary danger is not a single Grand Antebarian armada. It is the possibility that dozens of compact raiders, privateers, and converted merchant vessels may begin crossing into the frontier faster than the Accord can patrol its widely separated settlements. Antebarian insults and threats. Antebarian insults tend to combine three elements. 1. A claim that the target is cowardly, incompetent, or badly constructed. 2. An ordinary object, foodstuff, agricultural product, or administrative concept. 3. Grammar that sounds extremely forceful, but does not quite produce the intended meaning when automatically translated into Accord standard. While Accord linguistic experts agree that Antebarian insults are possibly devastating to a native-speaking Antebarian, the Accord translation unit's attempts to convert the high-pitched speech into understandable Accord standard yields less than the intended results. Confirmed examples include: withdraw, or we shall peel your hull like a disappointing root vegetable. You possess the courage of badly arranged furniture. We shall grind your ship into a paste of administrative inconvenience. Your name is excessively grammatical. You shoot like an elderly soup animal. You will be remembered as frightened compost. You resemble a tired shelf. Your face has been organized without care. Your hair is uncertain. It should be noted and communicated that while Accord translation systems are currently unable to render an accurate translation of Antebarian, Accord naval and frontier patrol crews should be cautious when dealing with Antebarian pirates. Though their speech translation may appear humorous, their plasma weapons aren't. Conclusion. The Antebarians are a small but capable independent species from the non-Accord world of Antebar. Current intelligence indicates that raids into Accord space are driven by a combination of resource constraints, economic stagnation, social mobility, political tolerance, and strategic deniability. It remains unclear whether this emerging activity represents scattered opportunism, organized privateering, covert government policy, or the beginning of a broader expansion. Antebarian raiders are capable, experienced combatants, and the danger they represent to the Accord should not be underestimated. Submitted by Nagranel, John C., Threat Analyst. Accord Intellect. Accord Intelligence Service Report WA 12648006 concludes,